I'm going to be reviewing the installation of a SIM BACnet card into a Grundfos pump. This is how it comes packaged, SIM 300. In the box is a disc that has all the manuals in it, and then the installation instructions for the BACnet module itself, a hardware bag that has the connection for the BACnet wires, the screws to install it into the pump, and stickers that show the version and the fact that it's installed inside the pump, as well as the BACnet card. Now this BACnet card has to be configured. So to configure it, there are 6 steps required. And first we need to wire it to the BACnet network. We have to set the transmission speed. We have to select the device object instance number. We have to select the device object name. We have to select the BACnet address, and if there is a termination resistor. So this is the first page of the installation, and it shows all the different parts on it. The wiring is done here with the BACnet network. There are 5 dip switches and 2 pots. So to set up the transmission speed, that is switch 4 and 5, and we have a 9600 to 76,800. This would be whatever the network speed is. For instance, if we were to have 19,200, switch 4 would be off and switch 5 would be on. So the next thing is selecting the device object instance number. With dip switch 3 down, Grundfos has a default number 227 plus whatever name you give it, and that's the next step, selecting the device object name. That gets done with the 2 different pots, switch 6 and switch 7, and out of the book has all of the different addresses. So if we want it to be 0, switch 6 is at 0 and switch 7 is at 0. If we wanted this to be 7, we would have switch 6 at 0, switch 7 at 7. And the next step would be putting the termination resistor setting, whether it's cut in or cut out. If this is the last unit on that leg, we would cut it in, and that's switch 1 and 2. So if we wanted it to be cut in, we would have both of those switches up. Any other configuration of that is no resistor. Once we've done that, now it's completely configured. We power it up, and we're looking to see if it's communicating. We have LED 1 and LED 2. That says 1, it's communicating with the network properly, flashing green, and 2, it's communicating with the pump properly. So once we have those 2 green lights, we know we've configured it properly. Now to physically install it, I took it out of the box, and we'd want to be careful not to touch any electronics. And I've opened up the front of the Magna 3, and I'm simply going to snap this into these 4 posts, these 3 posts, and it snaps in. Then the single screw. And then the connector for the BACnet network. So he's going to bring his 2 wires in here, plus and minus. And if there were multiple, he can daisy chain from one to the next to the next. So now the integrator has wired this, so we're ready to commission it like we discussed earlier. The first thing that we're going to do is the terminal resistor. That's dip switches 1 and 2 right here. In this case, we don't want it cut in, so they're both down. The next thing we're going to do, switch 3, is we're going to have it down, which is default BACnet MAC address. So that's the 227. And then the switches 4 and 5 are going to be set to the transmission speed. So both of them are down, that's 9600. And then the final thing we need to do is set the object name, which was that graph at the end of the book, and in this case we set it to 1, which was 0 and 0. These pots, switches 6 and 7, have very small writing on it, and it has an arrow, but you actually can feel it. It has a detent on each one, so once you start at the top, you can feel it and look at the book and know which one you're on. Now we're commissioned. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fire this pump up, and we want to get the 2 green lights. One that says it's communicating with the pump, and 2 says it's communicating with the network. If both of those are green, we're fully commissioned. So now we've connected the SIM card, we've powered up the pump, and we're connected to the network. These are the 2 lights we discussed. The flashing green light to the left says that we are communicating with the network. The solid green light to the right says that the SIM card is communicating with the pump. So this is what we want to see, flashing green and solid green.